What if your resistance to change isn't a flaw, but a deeply ingrained survival response in your brain? That's what neuroscience shows, and understanding it can help you finally make the changes you want without self-blame or frustration. Welcome back to The Reflective Soul, a channel about personal evolution through awareness. Today, we're talking about why your brain often resists change even when the change would be good for you, and what you can do about it. Here's what research tells us about habits and brain wiring. When a behavior becomes automatic, regardless of whether it's helpful or harmful, the brain gradually shifts control from conscious decision-making to deeper neural circuits designed for efficiency. That's why brushing your teeth eventually feels effortless, while changing an old pattern can feel surprisingly hard. Neuroscientists have found that as behaviors become habitual, brain activity moves from the prefrontal cortex, the part involved with choice and reflection, to structures like the basal ganglia, which store routines and patterns. This is why you can want something intellectually and still feel stuck biologically. Your brain isn't working against you, though. It's just conserving energy and favoring familiar pathways. And because the brain prioritizes survival and predictability over novelty, it may resist change even when that change supports growth, authenticity, and healing. Think of your brain like a highway system. Old patterns are like wide, well-paved highways, and new ones are like dirt trails. Even if the scenery is better with the dirt trail, it'll keep using the highway because it's easier and faster. Change feels hard, not because you lack willpower, but because your brain is literally asking, is this new thing safe? Can I predict it? Do I have a map for it? Uncertainty feels unsafe in the brain, which is why it's often perceived as a threat. Your brain needs to be shown that new pattern is safe and more reliable than the old one. And safety to the brain will always come before growth. Now, this doesn't happen instantly. It needs repetition, meaningful feedback, small wins, and consistent effort over time. This is why a single motivated decision doesn't stick, but tiny consistent choices do. Now, I want to offer you 3 simple steps you can begin using today to help your brain adapt better and resist less. Number 1, anchor change to familiarity. You may have heard this referred to as habit stacking, a concept popularized by the author S.J. Scott. And the idea is that instead of asking your brain to start something new from scratch, you attach a new habit to something you already do regularly. For example, you might meditate after brushing your teeth, or journal immediately after your morning coffee. By anchoring new habits to familiar routines, you're working with your brain's wiring. Your brain already knows the pattern, and you're just adding one small step. Number 2, signal safety before action. Before doing something challenging, take a deep breath and say to yourself, I am safe in this moment. Your nervous system will notice the signal and start to dial down resistance. This isn't positive thinking, it's nervous system regulation. Neuroscience shows that slow breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the part of your nervous system that is responsible for rest, safety, and regulation. According to polyvagal theory, proposed by neuroscientist Stephen Borges, your nervous system is constantly scanning for cues of safety or threat, often without your conscious awareness. When you slow down your breath and offer a calm internal signal, you're telling your body there's no immediate threat here. That signal reduces stress hormones like cortisol and brings the prefrontal cortex online, and it makes change feel more accessible instead of threatening. In other words, your nervous system resists less, not because you forced it to change, but because you showed it that it's safe to try. Number 3, celebrate with small rewards. The brain learns through reward signals. From a neuroscience perspective, this is known as reinforcement learning. Early behavioral researchers like B.F. Skinner discovered that behaviors strengthen when they're followed by a reward. Even a small positive signal releases dopamine, which helps the brain wire new habits. The reward doesn't have to be dramatic. It can be something subtle, like just a sense of relief, calm, or even a quiet moment of pride. Those small positive signals tells your brain, this matters. This is worth repeating. And over time, this is how the brain moves a trail into a path and eventually into a superhighway. And here's something eye-opening you can take with you today. You are not failing to change. Your brain is doing its job of keeping you safe and energy efficient. Resistance isn't a block. It's a cue that you're growing into new patterns. The shift from I can change to my brain is learning something new is powerful. And it empowers you to work with your biology and not fight it. If this gave you some perspective, I'd love to have you share in the comments what you took away with you today. And if you'd like to keep exploring awareness, nervous system rewiring, and how to live more authentically, you are very welcome here. I would love it if you subscribe to keep learning practical ways to reconnect with who you truly are. And until next time, discover, align, and grow. And thanks for being here.